Clash Royale has 24 arenas, and each one of them can feel like a grind. So to help you progress faster, here are the best tips for every arena in Clash Royale. Arena 1 is where all players start. At the beginning of your Clash Royale journey, you only need to remember 2 rules. First of all, you always need to place your support cards behind your giant and not in front of it. And secondly, always try to protect your support troops, like the musketeer and archers, by placing a knight or giant in front of them. Don't waste your gems early on, even though you might be tempted to. When you reach 50 trophies, you will have a choice to unlock either the goblins or the spear goblins. I would advise you to choose the spear goblins, as they can also attack air troops. Similarly, at 150 trophies, you can choose to unlock either the goblin hut or the goblin cage. The goblin hut is a much better building because it keeps on spawning spear goblins, which can annoy the heck out of your opponents. In Arena 2, the best tip is not to play all your cards close to each other. This is an important tip for 2 reasons. Firstly, the Valkyrie is unlocked in this arena, and she can destroy all your troops at once if you place them too close together. Secondly, placing troops next to each other gives the opponent massive fireball value, so space out your troops, both on offense and defense. At 325 trophies, choose the skeletons over the bomber, because they can counter cards like Mini P.E.K.K.A. and can also make your deck faster. At 450 trophies, choose the Valkyrie over the Tombstone because she's much better on defense. The number 1 tip for Arena 3 is to always run Fireball in your deck. This arena unlocks some cards which are really powerful on defense, like the Cannon and Barbarians, but they all have one weakness: Fireball! So when you know your opponent has Barbarians or Cannon, make sure to keep your Fireball ready at all times so that you can destroy them instantly. At 625 trophies, you can choose to unlock either the Cannon or the Barbarians. I would advise you to pick the Cannon, as it's a great building even in the later stages of the game. Then, at 750 trophies, choose the Mega Minion over the Battle Ram, because it's super versatile on defense and very hard to counter early on in the game. In Arena 4, you unlock wildcards from chests. Don't make the mistake of spending them right away on a particular card. Save them and only spend them once you have 100% decided what card you want to upgrade for the long term. Fireball becomes even more important to run in this arena because of the skeleton dragons and the wizard, both of which are vulnerable to it. At 1150 trophies, you can choose either the Inferno Tower or the Wizard. Both are decent cards, although my pick would be the Inferno Tower because it has no counters in this arena. At 1250 trophies, you can choose the Fire Spirit over the Electro Spirit because it deals more damage and doesn't activate King Tower, unlike the Electro Spirit. In Arena 5, you unlock some super useful cards. The most important card you always need in your deck here is the Zap. So it's a no-brainer that at 1325 trophies, you should choose to unlock it over the Bats. The Zap is incredibly useful to reset Inferno Towers or destroy swarms like skeletons or bats instantly. The best tip for this arena is to utilize the Fireball plus Zap synergy. Together, these cards can kill a wizard or even a musketeer. Run both these spells in your deck, always. At 1550 trophies, you have to unlock the Hog Rider over the Flying Machine. The Hog Rider is a really great win condition, and you can continue to use him at any stage of the game. In Arena 6, you finally get to unlock epic cards. I would highly advise you to level up your Zap as much as possible for this arena. It's a much needed card here because you unlock the Skeleton Army and Goblin Barrel in this arena. The Zap is a great counter to these cards, so always run it in your deck. Running the Inferno Tower is important in this arena because of the P.E.K.K.A. She has a ton of hit points, but the Inferno Tower can melt her down quickly. Don't play your troops into the P.E.K.K.A., rather wait for her to die first and then build your push. A good tip is to run the Skeleton Army and Inferno Tower both in the same deck. If your opponent zaps one of them, you can use the other to counter the P.E.K.K.A. At 1750 trophies, pick the Skeleton Army over the Witch. The Witch is good, but the Skeleton Army is important to execute the tip I shared above. At 1850 trophies, unlock the Guards over the Goblin Barrel because they come in handy in the next arena. In Arena 7, there are a ton of offensive cards, so your defense needs to be spot on for this arena. Don't be too aggressive here. Instead, first defend your opponent's push and then build a counter push. The Prince can be a tough card to counter in this arena, especially if they have Zap as well. That's why guards are an important card to play in this arena. They can survive zap and still counter cards like P.E.K.K.A, Prince, Mini P.E.K.K.A, or Dark Prince. At 2025 trophies, pick the Royal Recruits over the Royal Giant as they are much easier to play and seriously annoying on defense. When you reach 2150 trophies, always choose the Royal Hogs, because 3 Musketeers is one of the worst cards in the game. In Arena 8, you unlock some really cool cards. The Ice Golem is unlocked in this arena, and you can do a really smart play using him. Since he costs only 2 elixir and only targets towers, you can use him to kite enemy troops in the opposite lane. Now, pair this synergy with a ranged card and you can destroy your opponent's push easily. Spacing out your troops further away from each other becomes even more important in this arena because of the lightning. It has a really wide radius, so you need to be careful about placing your troops in buildings. At 2325 trophies, you can choose between the Ice Spirit or the Snowball. I would advise picking the Ice Spirit, as it's really useful on defense for just 1 elixir, whereas Snowball is just similar to Zap. At 2550 trophies, choose the Lightning over the Freeze spell because it can instantly kill enemy troops and deal heavy damage to towers. Lightning synergizes really well with most win conditions, so it's a must pick. Whereas Freeze, on the other hand, just sucks. In Arena 9, you unlock a lot of cheap but useful cards. The meta has become really toxic in this arena, so you need to be patient in order to win. I would advise you to run 2 spells in this arena because the meta here is filled with swarms. You'll see a lot of bait decks being used in this arena. You can use one yourself too. Try to use your swarms like Goblin Gang, Skeleton Army, or Skeleton Barrel to bait out your opponent's spells first. Once the spells are no longer in cycle, you can hit them with a Goblin Barrel. That's how bait works. Make sure to keep switching up your Goblin Barrel placements. Don't play too heavy decks in this arena. The poison spell can destroy your push easily and you'll have a hard time keeping up with all the swarms. Choose the Dart Goblin at 2750 trophies over the Barbarian Hut. It's annoying and super useful on both offense and defense. At 2850 trophies, the Poison spell is much better to choose rather than the Goblin Giant. It's much more versatile and can be used in various decks at the later stages of the game. In Arena 10, 2 extremely annoying win conditions are unlocked: Expo and Golem. Most players always have trouble against these 2 cards. To counter Expo, you can do 2 things. You can either deploy a tank like Giant, Royal Giant, or Golem in front of it, or you can stall it long enough with cheap cycle decks and destroy it with a ranged unit. To counter Golem, heavy hitters like Mini P.E.K.K.A and P.E.K.K.A are needed. Alternatively, Inferno Tower and Poison work great versus Golem decks too. But the biggest problem in this arena isn't the Golem or the Expo, it's the Elite Barbarians. They can deal some serious damage if you don't counter them properly. Players usually panic seeing them and mess up their defense. Be patient. You can use swarms to counter them or use a combo of a ranged unit plus mini tank. Always try to defend them in the cheapest way possible. At 3025 trophies, pick the Elite Barbarians over the Minion Horde. And at 3250 trophies, pick the Golem over the Hunter, since the Hunter is only used with Royal Giant decks, and well, he's not enjoyable to use as well. But if you're enjoying this video, then hit that like and subscribe button. In Arena 11, you start unlocking legendary cards. The most annoying of them are the Mega Knight and Sparky. To counter the Mega Knight, precise placements are necessary. For example, you can activate your King Tower against a Mega Knight using just Ice Spirit and Skeletons. Against a Sparky, try adding a reset card in your deck like Zap, Electro Wizard, or Lightning. Here's an important tip. Sparky shoots every 4 seconds, so try to reset her attack right before she's about to shoot, rather than resetting it when she's loading her attack. This will give you some extra seconds to take her out. Legendary cards cost a lot of gold to upgrade, so make sure you're saving enough of it to upgrade the cards you need. In Arena 12, a lot of toxic decks are played. A major reason for that is the amount of brain-dead cards unlocked in this arena and the previous one. The Firecracker is the card that troubles players the most in this arena. If you have arrows against her, you should be fine. But what if you're not running arrows? Then you need to be very patient and not spam troops into her attacks. First, try to get a nice King Tower activation against her, and then try to space out your troops on offense. Dividing your push into 2 lanes can also help versus her in certain situations, but just try to have at least one good counter to her in your deck regardless. At 3950 trophies, you're offered a choice between Wall Breakers and Electro Dragon. If you're finding fun in playing fast decks, then choose the Wall Breakers. If you prefer heavy beatdown decks, then go with the Electro Dragon. In Arena 13, the Toxic Electro Giant is unlocked, and it gives a hard time to many players. The Electro Giant reflects back any damage it takes within its range, so don't even try using melee cards to counter it. Try to pull him with a building and use a ranged unit to destroy it. Keep in mind though, that Electro Giant decks usually run lightning, so you need to space out your units well. Also, the Lava Hound is unlocked in this arena as well. You always need to cycle your air counters first when they drop the Lava Hound, and then play your other troops. That way, even if they destroy your first air counter right away, you will get back to it sooner and will be able to deploy it again. That's how you beat Lava Hound decks. At 4225 trophies, if you've already unlocked the Firecracker, choose her from the trophy road because it's important to upgrade her. At 4400 trophies, pick the Electro Giant for sure. In Arena 14, you unlock the Elixir Golem and Goblin Drill. To counter the Elixir Golem, try to use your splash damage cards and protect them at all costs. Buildings work great too. If you're facing Goblin Drill, then make sure to deploy your troops before the drill spawns on the ground, else your troops will drop late and the goblins will get damage. Here's a good tip. The Goblin Curse and Rage are unlocked in this arena. Try using both these cards together on swarms. You can use a curse and instantly drop a rage on them as well to turn them into goblins. You can surprise your opponent and that might win you the game right there. At 4800 trophies, try to choose Drill, but Executioner is a good choice too if you're running a Hog Cycle deck. In Arena 15, you unlock a bunch of bad cards, but 2 really important ones too. The Tornado and Fisherman are found in this arena, and they can be used to activate your King Tower against enemy troops. The Tornado can pull both air and ground troops to the King Tower. On the other hand, the Fisherman can be used to make some really smart plays, like pulling enemy troops away from your win condition. You can also find yourself facing a Mother Witch in this arena. Against her, you need to be really careful to not play swarms into her. She can turn them all into pigs and you won't be able to stop the counter push. Only deploy your swarms when your opponent has just used the Mother Witch. At 5025 trophies, you should choose the Rage spell since it's used in more decks as compared to the Goblin Curse. At 5200, you can basically choose whatever card you want because both the Mirror and Clone are trash cards. In Arena 16, you unlock your first champion. 2 champions are available in this arena, the Golden Knight and the Skeleton King. At 5675 trophies, you get a Champions chest, which gives you one of these champions. If you unlock the Skeleton King, make sure to always pair him with swarms, because they complement his ability. But if you unlock the Golden Knight, try playing him in aggressive decks which rely on pressuring at the bridge. If you're facing the Golden Knight, don't play troops close to your towers, else he can destroy them easily while also dashing on your tower. Against the Skeleton King, try to play splash damage dealing cards and always keep your small spells ready for his ability. In Arena 17, you unlock the Archer Queen, Boss Bandit, and Mighty Miner. All of these cards can be really tough to defend, so you need to be quite precise with your defense. Against the Boss Bandit, heavy hitters like P.E.K.K.A. and Swarms work well. You can also use a mini-tank plus ranged units to counter her. Archer Queen can be tough to defend because she can turn invisible. If you have an Archer Queen coming towards your tower, you can bet that most players would use the ability when she crosses the bridge to deal heavy damage to your tower. So, to counter that, try blocking her at the bridge with a mini-tank or swarms. Now, you can easily defend against her and she won't be able to get any damage on your towers. With the Mighty Miner, you need to avoid playing swarms on top of him because his ability can destroy them instantly. Rather, try to play your swarms in the middle to counter him. At 6450 trophies, you can choose to get 4 cards of either the Mother Witch or the Night Witch. If you play Graveyard, go for the Mother Witch. If you play Beatdown, pick the Night Witch. In Arena 18, you unlock the Little Prince, Goblinstein, and Monk. If you're facing the Goblinstein, try to not place too many troops directly in his path. Otherwise, the Doctor's ability can wipe them all out. Against the Monk, try to avoid countering him with ranged units, because his ability can destroy them with your own attacks. Instead, use swarms or mini-tanks. The Little Prince is not that tricky to counter. You can use spells like Fireball and Poison to counter him directly. Just make sure that when he's coming towards your tower, you wait for your opponent to use the ability and then deploy your units on top of the little prince and not the guardian. At 6,900 trophies, you can choose the Elixir Golem over the Elixir Collector. Although, to be honest, both of them suck. No new cards are unlocked from Arena 19 onwards, but as you reach Arena 19, you should have a clear idea about what deck you want to main throughout your Clash Royale journey. Once you have chosen your main deck, it's time to master it. Start by playing more, watch replays, and analyze your losses. By the way, at 7,300 trophies, you'll be offered a choice between Void and Tornado. Always choose the Tornado, because the Void is just a garbage spell. Now in Arena 20, you should start learning about the matchups of your main deck. This means you should know what your deck does well against and what decks counter it. Once you've recognized those matchups, learn what to do and what not to do in those matchups. Master all the good plays and note down which mistakes you need to avoid. Watch pro players and YouTube videos to learn more about your deck. In Arena 21, try to dive deeper into strategy and learn important card interactions. You should be able to know every possible card interaction with your deck. For example, if you're running Hog Earthquake, you should know how much damage you can leave at the end of the game to just finish it off with Earthquake and Log. Keep in mind how much damage your spells do and when to spell cycle. In Arena 22, learn to count your opponent's cards. Knowing what cards your opponent has in his hand can give you a serious advantage. This will allow you to understand when to play a certain card and when to save it. For example, if you know that your opponent has a Log in hand, then you don't want to play a Goblin Barrel. Instead, bait out the Log using something like a Princess or a Goblin Gang and then go all in with a Goblin Barrel. In Arena 23, learn to count your opponent's Elixir. This is one of the toughest skills to master in Clash Royale, but if you learn this, you can know exactly what they will play in response to your attacks. Know when to make the perfect predictions and punish them at the right time. Don't overcomplicate this in your head though. It's really knowing the basic things, like if they drop a heavy tank, then they are down elixir, so you can push them. If they spend X amount of elixir on a card, then they might not have enough to play a counter to your win condition. And finally, in Arena 24, you need to master all the 6 deck archetypes in Clash Royale. I know that's tough, so to help you, here is a video that will teach you everything about mastering every deck strategy in Clash Royale.